Welcome, everyone. My name is Luke Elzinga. I'm the board chair of the Iowa Hunger Coalition. Thank you for joining us today for our March 2024 monthly meetup. Today, we're really going to be focusing on where things stand with the second funnel deadline in the Iowa State Legislature that was last Friday. And then really, we hope to have some good conversation about what people are seeing right now in their community in terms of the level of need and how we can kind of collectively respond to that. So, um, for any first time attendees, we always try to share a little bit about the Hunger Coalition. So, we are a 501c4 organization. We're membership based. We are explicitly an advocacy organization, which means we don't really do any direct service. We're really about advocacy and coalition building. We have a volunteer board of directors, no paid staff members, but we do have a contract lobbyist, John and Cindy Peterson. We've worked with them, I think, 4 years. They've been great. And we really try to be the voice for Iowans facing food insecurity, organizations that provide assistance to people facing food insecurity, and just try to be that collective voice at the State House to advocate for policies around hunger and food insecurity, as well as building equitable food systems in our state. As I mentioned, we are supported by our dues-paying members, which include both individuals and organizations. These are our organizational members. I did not list out our individual members, but just want to take a second to say thank you to all the groups who support our work and make this work possible. And if you would like to become a member of the Iowa Hunger Coalition, it's really give whatever you can. We have kind of a recommendation for organizations and individuals, but it really is, give whatever you can. All right, so first we're going to start with a legislative update on the second funnel. I'll try to make sure I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well. So first, maybe I'll back up just a second. What the second funnel is in our state legislature, we have a couple kind of self-imposed deadlines that are really there to help narrow the bills that are what's considered still alive, still up for consideration. We already had the first funnel. Now this is the second funnel, which means any policy-related bills need to have passed out of one chamber with a floor vote and have advanced through a subcommittee and a committee in the other chamber. There's always ways that the majority party has ways of bringing things back, introducing amendments on other bills, putting things into unfinished business. So there is an asterisk there. Just because something did not meet the second funnel deadline does not mean it's officially dead till our session adjourns. And also, any tax and spending bills are not eligible. So anything in Ways and Means and Appropriations are what's considered funnel proof. So we have some happy news to share. House File 2608 did not meet that second funnel deadline. This was a bill that had two divisions. The Division 2, which we did not focus on as much, but a lot of other groups really honed in on, would add a vague smuggling provision to Iowa's criminal code. And Division 1, which we were more focused on, would have required all non-citizen applicants for public assistance be verified through this SAVE system. We already verify non-citizen their citizenship status and whether they're eligible or not. And we were really concerned that this bill would further chill participation in public assistance in mixed status households. Honestly, I think even just introducing this bill already contributes to that chilling effect. But thankfully, we did not see the bill advance. And what I mean by that chilling effect is we have seen in the state of Iowa and really across the nation a drop in SNAP participation among citizen children who live with a non-citizen. So they may have a parent who is undocumented, as a share of total SNAP recipients. So that child is eligible for benefits. Their parent isn't. There has just been a fear really since the public charge rule during the Trump administration. I think really caused a lot of fear in our immigrant communities. And these types of bills also contribute to that. So we're very happy to see that that is dead, asterisk. What's still alive is House File 2319. This would ban basic income programs. And specifically, it would prohibit cities and counties from administering basic or guaranteed income programs, including pilot studies. Right now, there is only one study operating in the state of Iowa. It's the Uplift, the Central Iowa Basic Income Pilot. It's operating in Polk Warren and Dallas counties, taking a look at urban, suburban, and rural participants and how a $500 monthly basic income is impacting them. There's 110 households in the experimental group, and then there's also some control households as well. And while we won't have the results for another couple years of the final research study, because it is currently happening, we do know from preliminary data that 41% of funds were being spent on food, and that was the single largest category of spending. So where this stands is this has already passed the House. It passed out of a subcommittee and a committee in the Senate, and it is now eligible for floor debate in the Senate. So one of these action items we're going to have in a few slides from now is emailing your senator and asking them to vote no on House File 2319. As I mentioned, we also have some bills that are appropriations that are still alive, though we haven't seen a ton of movement on them yet. One of them is the Grocery Reinvestment Program and Fund, which is House File 2599. This has really been spearheaded by the Center for Rural Affairs and Representative Brian Losey, who is a Republican in kind of rural Polk County, Bondurant area. It's also a kind of a key priority for the Iowa Food System Coalition. And what it would do is it establishes a grocery investment fund to support independent grocery stores in high need areas. And it has a $2 million appropriation each year for the next 2 years. There's also a piece in there that would provide $100,000 for fruit and vegetable processing grants. We know this is a big area of need in talking about expanding the availability of locally and regional grown food. There's also a requirement in there that stores need to accept SNAP and WIC. And we've had some really strong bipartisan support for this bill. There has not been a lot of movement on it lately. So this is one to just kind of keep up the drumbeat when you're talking with legislators expressing support for this bill. Another bill that's still alive is House File 2022-2022, the Double Up Food Bucks appropriation. It would be a $1 million appropriation request from the Health and Human Services budget. It is sponsored by 3 House Republicans, Shannon Latham, Chad Ingles, and David Young. We also know there's a number of other House Republicans who are extremely supportive of this bill, including Representative Losey and Representative John Dunwell and others. And this really has a broad coalition of support. I would encourage you on the legislative website to look up House File 2022 and just take a look at the lobbyist declarations. It's really remarkable how many groups and kind of the diversity of the groups that are registered in support for the bill. There's a few other appropriations that we're still keeping an eye on. Local food for schools. We know that Representative Ingles was working on a request there. We didn't actually see a bill before the deadline, but there's still an opportunity to perhaps attach that as part of a larger ag budget bill. And then also the Iowans Feeding Iowans Act. The Feeding America food banks are requesting a $5 million appropriation from the ag budget as well. So these are all still considered alive because they are appropriation bills. And now is really the time during the session where they're starting to figure out those budgets and make these decisions about what is going to be included and what is not. So some ways you can take action today on the state legislative level. First, you can ask your senator to vote no on House File 2319, that basic income ban. If you'd like some more information, we'll send that along. You can also visit the Uplift website, and they have some great information on there about what the program is and the impact it's showing. I would say that really the opposition to these basic income programs has been largely ideological. We've heard people throwing around, oh, this is socialism, communism, Marxism. And so that's the kind of motivation behind this. And what we really believe is that, the state should not be hampering cities and counties from exploring, research pilot programs around basic income and innovative solutions for addressing poverty and economic mobility. Our second kind of ask here is to reach out to the appropriations chairs in the House and the Senate, which are Representative Gary Moore and Senator Tim Kryenbrink, to asking them to prioritize appropriations to help reduce hunger and food insecurity. And then we've got this list here. And so that would be another ask, is just reaching out to them, asking for the state to take action to address food insecurity. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick to see if we have any questions on second funnel updates. And if we don't have any questions, we can just go right in to the next section of the meeting. All right. And I'm actually going to stop sharing screen again in a second here because I'm hoping we can have some good discussion. But really, we just wanted to hear from everyone what the level of need is like right now in your community, and thinking about some ways that we could collectively raise awareness about the rising levels of food insecurity in our communities and across our state. So I will also type that in the chat, but if anyone would be interested in starting this off, one second, I will share this in the chat. I guess I can start by sharing. So I'm the policy and advocacy manager at DMARC, which operates a food pantry network primarily in Polk County. We have 14 different pantries, mobile pantries, and a home delivery program. And we have just seen really alarming continued increased need. In November, we broke our record for all-time busiest month in our history. And then this January and February were actually the second and third highest in our organization's history. We anticipate March is going to break some records, and we've continued to see a really alarming level of new first-time pantry visitors every month that does not seem to be dwindling. So we're really concerned about not only what we're seeing right now, but what this summer is going to look like. We know there's always increased need during the summer, and especially with the governor's decision not to pursue summer EBT we are really concerned about what this summer is going to look like. So I guess on that bright note, I will will see if anyone else. What are you seeing in your community? I mean, to be honest, I have not talked with a single pantry across the state that's seeing less people. But if that's what you're seeing, please share.
Thanks, Luke. If I could add a little bit more about Des Moines too, from some things that I've been kind of watching. The Des Moines Public Schools has been facing uh, budget shortfall that, as of last time I checked, part of how they're looking to close that involves, removal of the positions of they're called community schools coordinators that in at one time every school in the district, elementary, middle, and high school had one, and would operate a pantry in the school that during the school year, and I believe even during the summer would operate pantries that were an additional sort of infrastructure for folks that many of those positions are facing the chopping block. And so, yeah, thinking about at a time of increasing demand for food, it's unfortunate timing, but
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Paul. Anyone else? Feel free to come off mute. If you don't want to speak, share in the chat. You want to raise your hand, that works.
Hi, I'm new to this network today. It's the first time I'm joining. So we are more like tech nonprofit. So and the company is kind of feedhungers.com. Some of you from Ames area might know us. We're born out of research from our state university. And what we do, we host all these food pantries from all Midwest area, from Maine to Mississippi, on our platform. And anybody can enter any information if they have new food pantry or any location, dynamic location, like not known for food pantries, but any other location, they have free food to donate. We just display them real time. If you are closed, the platform will not display. The object is to cut down the time for the people who search the free food around. So whatever you see as of now on our platform, those food pantries are open sometime within the time. So it's a big problem because of the resources, the staff shortage. Food pantries are like in their time. So we have another program which will quickly change those things too. So trying to get into bigger network now. I used to be a part of the Story County network in Ames. Now I moved to Cedar Rapids area, so we shift the headquarters too. And I'm looking for bigger network, the local network here too, so I can collaborate with them. The objective is to help people. No one should sleep hungry.
Thank you for sharing and thanks for being here today. I'll probably reach out with an email and connect and see, maybe there's a way we can share this resource more widely with the coalition as well.
Yeah, so far,
And I know
like we have around like 4,000 food pantries on the board, and list is growing. People are using it because they're putting the information. The only problem I see, they change the time. It's very hard to drag it down sometimes. United Ways,
I
Story
know
County, I was pretty frequent partner with them. Now I moved to Cedar Rapids. I still work for Iowa State. This is my part-time passion, feeding people. Glad to be connected to this network.
Thank you. And I saw, I'm going to, just in case people can't see the chat, we did have Caitlin Sharman share that, who's with Waukee School District, that their school meal debt is at an all-time high, over $20,000, when previously that used to run around 6,000. That is obviously concerning. Thank you for sharing, Caitlin. Is there anyone else who'd like to share either in the chat or coming off mute?
Hi, my name is Rebecca. I work for IHC Extension, but I work directly with the community school coordinators in Des Moines. So just kind of to echo what Paul said, yeah, they're going to be reduced from about like 75 down to 15 positions for all of the elementary schools. And that's going to take away the food pantries that are available, but even just the after school programs and the summer programs and childcare is just going to significantly reduce. And especially with the lack of summer EBT, I think that's just going, yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer and just seeing what that looks like.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. One thing I will add on kind of the summer EBT front, when that announcement first came out that we were not going to be pursuing it, they also said there was going to be a grant program forthcoming for summer meal sites. As of yesterday, we have still not seen any news about what that grant program is going to entail, what amount, who is eligible. And the deadline for getting these summer meal sites figured out, I believe, is May 1st. And so I know organizations who are trying to talk about expanding summer meal sites are, just have a lot of questions about what that support is going to look like, who would be eligible, and how that might impact their ability to expand summer meal sites or not. So if thank you for confirming, Caitlin. If anyone hears anything, I'm hopefully it'll go out when the Department of Education releases it. We'll be sure to let people know as soon as possible. But that's something to keep an eye on because we have heard that the Department of Education is going to have a grant program for expanding summer meal sites and enhancing existing sites. So once we hear something, we will let you all know. Well, if no one else has anything to share on the level of community need, we also wanted to discuss kind of what can we be doing individually, as a coalition, as individual organizations to raise public awareness about just what's happening right now in terms of food insecurity. I think for people who aren't in this world, it's a shock when they hear that we are facing record high need at the food pantry. And so just thinking about how we help elevate and raise awareness around what is going on. I have some ideas, but I would first wanted to kind of pose it to the group to see if anyone wants to share any thoughts about how we can raise awareness together. Larry, go ahead.
Hi. Well, speaking on behalf of Bread for the World, we're in the midst of another offering of letters, again focused on at the national level for legislation focused on the Farm Bill. As people may know, the Farm Bill, which is the device which sets the rules for SNAP in particular, is currently extended until the fall, but it generally is extended for 5 years. And so Bread for the World has started another letter writing campaign to national senators and House of Representatives about the need for those hunger legislation priorities.
Thank you for sharing, Larry, and would encourage anyone that wants to get connected with Bread for the World. I know Zachary Schmidt is their kind of Midwest regional organizer. I've worked with him multiple times. I'm sure Larry or myself could connect you there.
Sure.
Bread for the World is an ecumenical Christian organization focused on both domestic and international hunger. Um, and if you are part of a faith community that wants to get involved in this offering of letters, would really encourage you to connect with Bread. And I think their website's just bread.org.
And that is correct, right?
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Larry.
Yep.
We saw a 1-year extension last fall, and the more this drags on, the more I think we might see another 1-year extension, because as we get toward election season, I just think it's less likely that we'll see a 5-year farm bill passed. So
Yeah, I would just add to that, Luke, that I listened to a conversation that was held with Senator Grassley, and that was his conclusion as well. His phrase was, there needs to be more farm in the farm bill. And specifically, you may roll your eyes, and specifically referenced Senator Stabenow, who is the Senate head of the committee, the Agricultural Committee. And it was pretty clear that changing the leadership in the Senate would change the approach to the Farm Bill.
yeah, thanks, Larry. And I dropped a link in the chat, but as we're talking federal advocacy around the Farm Bill, making sure that we are continuing to advocate for SNAP. We were concerned, issued a statement back in December that Senator Grassley had signed onto a letter with Representative Chip Roy, essentially calling for cuts to SNAP, and they were not small cuts. We have some data at that link there that you can look at actually how that would impact Iowans. I think it was an average of about $70 a month cut for people on SNAP. So that the comment about more farm in the Farm Bill is a little concerning to me, and we just need to continue to educate, because what I hear there is cuts to SNAP. Anyone else want to share around ways that we as a group could take action? But yeah, thank you for bringing up the federal level, Larry.
Luke, I'm not an idea as much as a question. I'm just curious if anybody on the call has been planning to or working directly with any of these communities where there's been projected layoffs, or I'm thinking about like Perry with the Tyson plant closing here coming up, or anywhere where we've kind of got something that's in the news that could help kind of drive this conversation. I saw a really great story about Knock and Drop planning to work with the families that are affected by the layoffs at Tyson, and kind of got me thinking a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks for raising that, Blake. And I know that Tyson plant closing is not the only announced layoffs we've seen lately. And so also thinking about this kind of no end in sight in terms of the rising need that we're seeing. I think with lack of action from our state and federal leaders, and some indicators that there might be some more economic distress coming, I think it's really concerning. Yeah, is anyone working directly in Perry or any other communities that are seeing closures or layoffs right now? And is anything happening there? I am going to reach out to Zuli at Knock and Drop, I think, too. I am going to share my screen real quick, because there was one thing we spoke about as a Hunger Coalition board yesterday about something that we could be doing collectively as a group. And that's really just putting together a press release just on the rising level of need. So the Hunger Coalition is going to be putting together Just a press release with some quotes and data, just sounding the alarm on the crisis situation that is food insecurity in Iowa right now. And wanted to share with this group, if you would like to contribute a quote and or data for this release, we have just a simple Google form. You can access it at the link here. I'll post it in the chat in just a second. There's a QR code there. We'll also send out an email after this, the monthly meetup with this information. We've got a deadline of end of the day Friday for this because we would like to put the release out early next week. So that is a way, if your organization would be able to provide a quote or some numbers about the increases you are seeing right now, we'd love to hear from you and really have a statewide voice, because this is not just something that is happening in urban centers of the state. We know that this is happening in all corners of Iowa. So if you would like to contribute a quote, please fill that out. Like I said, we'll send an email after this with that link where you can fill that out as well. And then I was just, this was like me 5 minutes before this meeting of like, what are some other ways? I feel like I say this every month, but people still read the local newspaper, legislators especially, and sometimes a good way to just raise awareness is submitting a letter to the editor or an op-ed to your local newspaper. If you go to their website, they usually have, it's typically in the opinion or editorial section, they will have some guidelines for word count and how you submit those. It doesn't need to be anything long. We are always happy to help you craft those. But that's one way you can just raise awareness to people in your community about the level of need that we're seeing right now. Aside from a letter to the editor or an op-ed, you could also just reach out to a reporter in your area and pitch a story. I think it can be kind of intimidating, but reporters are constantly looking for stories. You know, they have to have so many stories every week. And so I will say sometimes, you know, they're kind of framed as feel-good stories for when we're talking about food pantries and addressing a need, but it gives us an opportunity to talk about the real systemic issues of why people experience food insecurity and why we're seeing a historic level of need right now. You can also host a special event highlighting the heightened need. I know Annika Mundell with the Story County Hunger Collaboration shared with me they're planning a kind of community-wide food drive. There's some stuff happening in Lynn County around like a volunteer week and food drive. So there's service-oriented ways you can help raise awareness too. You know, that it gives people a really tangible way that they can take action and helps raise broader awareness about what we're seeing in the state right now. You can invite your local legislator to visit a food pantry, food bank, anti-hunger organization, meet with you, talk about what you're seeing right now. Gives you an opportunity to ask them what they're doing to address food insecurity as well. You can share data and stories on the level of need. This is also something when we issue that press release, on that form, people can select to say if they're okay with us sharing that on social media as well. We'll be putting together some social media graphics with some stats and quotes around the rising level of need. So in addition to the press release, we'll be trying to do like a social media blitz next week. And then also a reminder, the Iowa Hunger Coalition has a SNAP map and school nutrition dashboard on our website that can provide really good local data about the percentage of people who are using SNAP in a county. The school nutrition dashboard has info on free and reduced price lunch and that sort of thing. So we want to be here to help you make you know, data-driven arguments. And please, again, always feel free to reach out if you have any questions on those. So I am going to stop sharing again and see if anyone has any additional thoughts on anything you didn't see on that list that we could be doing individually as a group to raise awareness. And I would add also put some pressure on our state legislature. They have done nothing so far to address hunger and food insecurity. And actually, they've advanced some really harmful policies that will only make the problem worse. Our legislative session's not over yet. When we have food banks and food pantries facing historic need and SNAP enrollment is at a now close to 16-year low, to me, that tells me our state needs to be doing. Whether that's investing in double up food bucks, appropriating money for food banks, like we've got some options for them. We need them to take action. All right, I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
Just want to add, if you have LinkedIn page and you are posting something, the editors, the news reporters, they change you around for the stories. We paste quite a bit on LinkedIn page of our company, so I get pretty often invites. Can you share some story? You have something to report? Though like from big news, not even local. I was invited by this Des Moines news network, ACCI, then some local networks. So I was interviewed quite a bit. So if you have a page on LinkedIn, keep update that. Those reporters keep their eye on those posts and invite for the stories if they find suitable.
Yeah. And we do hope this press release can kind of be an entry point for some media interviews with TV, with print, with radio, and just, especially in some of those larger markets, but also small town newspapers can be really important as well. So, yeah. Anything we can do with other outlets, other kind of channels to elevate would be appreciated. So when we do, share those as the Hunger Coalition, feel free to share those as your organization as well.
One more I want to share. I can give you some picture of what we do actually. I'm the new to this network. I'm just trying to put more things so people can get what we do. I'm so happy to be on this network.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this, Dr. Sharma.
I'm not a real doctor. I'm not a synthetic doctor doing research. The real doctors are those who treat patients. I'm a graduate from IHC.
Anyone else have anything to share on just what you're seeing right now and ways that we can take action? Otherwise, I don't want to take up time for folks or any last minute questions that anyone has.
So the
All
good
right,
way
well,
to
thank
reach
you
out
all.
is, so that good way to
Yeah,
reach
go
out
ahead.
is info@demartunited.org. Is your email reach to?
Yeah, I'll put you can reach me at iowahungercoalition@gmail.com or I'll put my DMARC email in here as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And thank you all. We will follow up with an email.